by Peter H. Reynolds. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. "Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just can't draw." Her teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where it takes you." Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good, strong jab. There! Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." Vashti thought for a moment. "Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name." The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. I can make a better dot than that." She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted. A red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow. She discovered that she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting, lots of little dots in many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on a bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots were quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler." Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. "Show me." The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, "Sign it." The end.
Okay, so after watching a reading of the book The Dot by Peter Reynolds, we are going to go ahead and celebrate Dot Day and make our own dot. Now, first things first, let's go over what you will need for supplies for your project today. So everyone go ahead inside your white art folder. On the front, I know you have a colorful label that says art, but I do not, of course, but go ahead and open up your folders. And on the inside, on the side that says paper for projects, right over here, you want to go ahead and look through. It should be kind of right on top. You want to find the piece of paper that has a very big circle on it, your dot. And you also are going to need the piece of black paper inside. So go ahead and take those two pieces of paper out. Leave the rest in there. Whatever is in there, just leave it. We don't need it for right now. And when we are done with our project today, we're going to go ahead and place it in the side that says artwork and keep it nice and safe inside the pocket on this side of your folder. All right, so I'm going to get my folder out of the way. And as you may have noticed, I have a table protector with me. I always work with a bigger piece of paper underneath me in case my marker goes through the paper or I go off the edge or if I'm gluing. So if you have a nice big piece of construction paper at home or even 2 pieces of paper that you could work on, slide them underneath you. That would work just fine. Okay, so I have my table protector, my black paper, my dot paper. You're going to need today a pair of scissors, a glue stick, and something to make your dot with. That could be markers or that could be crayons. I'm going to use markers for mine, but you could do either one. Alrighty. Now, just like in the book, your dot could really be anything. It could be different colors. It could be different dots within a dot. You could also start to use some lines and patterns in your dot. For example, and I'm going to use a color scheme, meaning a group of colors. I chose to use kind of greens and purples and a little bit of a pink. You could choose to do a color scheme too. Maybe pick 4 or 5 colors that you're going to use for your entire dot. Now, there's no wrong way to do it. You get to design your own dot the way that you'd like. You could do a bunch of different little dots. You could start in the center and work your way out and out and out, making different patterns and designs as you go. Or you could start along the edge, but be careful with marker. If you start on the edge and then you work your way to the middle, you're going to get marker on your hand, so just be careful as you're working. Now, for this example, I started in the middle and I worked my way out like we just talked about, doing a different pattern. I did line, dot, line, dot, line, dot, curve line, dot, curve line, dot. Or I went and I just did orange line, red line, orange line, red line. Or I did pink, orange, yellow, green. I mean, you could keep going. Different designs. For this one, I kind of want to just do little dots inside, like a polka dot. Some big, some medium, some small. And just kind of fill in my circle and make sure I get rid of a lot of the white space. So go ahead, start thinking. You don't have to start working right away. Sometimes it's good to take time to think and plan out a little bit what you want your dot to look like. Maybe it's just a couple colors mixed together in a beautiful way. Maybe there's more designs and shapes inside. I'm going to move on to the next color. And if you know what you want to do for your dot, you could start getting your paper out and your markers or crayons, and you could start coloring in and designing your dot. All right, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to keep working on mine, and I'll probably pause the video for you to get some time to work on yours, and we'll meet back up in a second. All right, as you can see, I went ahead and I filled in a lot more dots to fill in the white spaces. I could even go ahead and fill in a few more. And I wanted to point out I also used one color to kind of circle the other dots. So feel free to kind of keep adding to your work as you're going. I'm just going to go ahead and add a few more small green ones and spread them out. And then I want to work on the very edge. I want to show you an example of a pattern that you could do. There's many, many different patterns, but just one that I was thinking of is I could use the side of my marker and I could go line, dot, dot. And then I repeat it because a pattern is something that repeats over and over and over. Line, dot, dot. Line, dot, dot. And I'm going to do this all the way around the edge because I think it kind of gives it a nice frame around my dot. Alright, so I finished my kind of frame or the border, the edge of my design, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out my dot. Now, a few things when we're cutting. Usually about 2 fingers can fit in here. If you can fit 3 in, great, but if you can't, don't worry. And then your thumb. You always want your thumb at the top and the bigger piece at the bottom. And when you're cutting, I always kind of try and remind you of 2 things. One is to never ever let your scissors close. You may remember that. So as I'm cutting, I'm going to get close to that black line, and I'm never going to let my scissors fully close. Not until the very end. This is what I mean by that. would be letting them close. And you can see as I start to get these pointy spots that I don't really want when I'm cutting a circle. So nice and slow, try your best to stay on the black line and never let your scissors close. Now you can start to see my hand right here is creeping up to reach to make it able to cut, and I'm getting to the point where my hand is really uncomfortable and I need to bring it back to my body. So this is where the other hand has a job. This hand doesn't just sit there, it has things to do. It has to turn your paper for you. This is my cutting hand, this is my turning hand. So as I'm cutting, if it feels really uncomfortable for you, which it does for me right now, I'm going to take it and turn my paper and re-grip my hand. And I'm going to cut a little more. It's starting to feel uncomfortable. I'm going to turn my paper, re-grip my hand, cut a little more. Now I'm going kind of fast, but you take your time. And I need to turn and re-grip. And now I can finally close. Okay, my dot is cut out. And I'll show you my other one. A little bit different ways to do it. Your dot is totally going to be unique and different than mine. That's the whole point of the project, is that you make your mark, and I guarantee you all of our dots are going to look very different. So, doesn't matter which one. I'm going to take this one and keep working on it. I'm going to turn my dot over, and you could do the same and get your glue stick out, cap off, twist it up and ready to use. That's good, not too much. And I'm going to put glue definitely in the middle and then all along the edge. You want to go right to the edge of your dot. Okay. And now we're going to take that black piece of paper and we're going to glue your dot to the black piece of paper to give it a really nice background. Black usually always makes other colors stand out and pop.